Welcome to Prairie Mosaic, a patchwork of stories about the arts, culture, and history in our region.
Hi, I'm Matt O'Lean.
And I'm Barb Gravel. On this edition of Prairie Mosaic, we'll listen to poetry read by a champion, meet immigrants who call Moorhead home, and listen to a band who is both hero and villain. The roles of women in the U.S. Armed Forces have changed dramatically over the years. For a female in the military, constantly being surrounded by men can bring both challenges and rewards. Watch as two Minnesota veterans tell their own personal stories of struggle and success.
Moving forward, training, when we giving you instruction, your only response will be yes, drill sergeant, no, drill sergeant. Am I understood?
Yes, drill sergeant.
You know, when you're surrounded by a lot more men than women, men who can do a lot more push-ups than you, can do a lot more sit-ups, and can run faster, I feel like there was kind of a challenge, but at the same time, I've always felt that men and women are different. So I never felt pressure to be more than what I was or to match or compete. It definitely pushed me to go harder.
I grew up a farm girl. The physical pieces of being in the military was not a big deal. I enjoyed it. Basic training was actually the funnest time of my time in the service, getting to do obstacles and different things like that. Physically, it wasn't challenging for me at all. It was more, I grew up in a small rural community where everybody knew me as Mindy, and all of a sudden I went to the military where I am one of the only women. And so it was a very unique experience with different cultures, different backgrounds of people. I have never experienced that amount of male attention, I would say, before. Some of it largely inappropriate and not knowing how to handle it.
I felt protection. You had a bunch of big brothers and big uncles kind of looking out for you. And wherever you go, I mean, there are people that don't do that. Doesn't matter what field you're in. So there were some that were more protective of you than others and looked out for you more than others. But I never really felt like I was discriminated against because of my gender. I feel like there has been a little bit more acceptance on women being able to fill some of those roles that maybe they didn't in the past. Women are doing truck driving and maintenance on vehicles, and it's probably come a long way as far as what women are capable and able to do. Our mission on a regular basis was to just load up these trucks and bring stuff from point A to B and survive. My job was the weapons and making sure they were clean, making sure that they were functional and all that stuff. I don't know if it was a job that I necessarily was wanting, but I really enjoyed doing it because I had my own arms room, I had my own way of doing things, my own system. I did feel like it was a very important job. If any of those weapons went out and they malfunctioned, I would have felt like that was on me. I was on a convoy and we got some small arms fire, which the direction when we get small arms fire is just blow through. We just keep on going. The only time we stop is if there's a casualty. I think it really kind of awakened us to the reality of this is war. This isn't just missions. We literally could die out here. I got home. I actually moved in with my mom in the very beginning. That was just kind of the plan all along, and she was growing concerned because I was up all night and sleeping all day, and she made a couple of comments that I was different, that I had changed. And I went to a veteran therapist who said it's probably PTSD related. So then I kind of started down that road of like, okay, well, let's try to fix and figure this out. What ended up really pulling me out of depression or anxiety or just the life that I was living, I think it was my faith. I think my faith grew really strong. As a woman, sometimes we get in this mindset of we need to prove something. We need to prove who we are. We need to prove our value. And men and women, although we're different, we're equal in value. And what we do matters, and what we do makes a difference, whether we're doing as many push-ups or not doing as many push-ups, or whether we're at the front lines or not at the front lines. What we're doing matters and makes a difference.
Fort Hood, Texas was my first duty station. It was the first day at my duty station and when I in-processed that I was sexually assaulted. As a 20-year-old young woman, limited experiences outside of here, it was different. I had in-processed late in the evening, and the staff sergeant that in-processed me was my perpetrator. I still am not sure that I would have came forward with it, but he was going to be a Navy chaplain and had just graduated seminary school. And I knew that if I didn't say anything, that there would be other women. But that investigation took 6 months. And so I was stuck in Fort Hood for 6 months, now feeling like I'm wearing a scarlet letter and a little bit scared of retribution. After I came forward, 13 other women also came forward. And then it turned into drinking more alcohol as well. I ended up really developing an addiction. And so for me, there was a lot of challenges, I would say, during that time that wasn't related to being deployed. It was just related to a lot of different things that had accumulated over time. When I got back out of the service, I had came back to this area here in Bagley, and I started going to AA meetings. I started chairing AA meetings. I started working in the jails with another gentleman doing AA meetings for females that were incarcerated. And in the interim, I decided I'm going back to school to use my GI Bill and all of those things. And I took my first psychology course, and I just lit up with passion. It does seem that veterans are a little more open to therapy with a veteran. And I've had several on my caseload that I think it's been incredibly beneficial because I can speak their language and I can empathize and I can understand, and they don't feel like they're gonna break me. I have a nickname at work. They call me the Velvet Hammer because you're smooth but effective, because I am very blunt. They joke around and say I use trucker speak to connect with people, but I can use all the intelligent words as well. But I just be very genuine and very real, and that I think connects, more than anything. I think that there's definitely a lot more women that are in leadership now than probably were before. I remember when I went through AIT, we had one female drill sergeant, but really it was male predominant. And now they have drill sergeants that are females, you have commanders that are females, you have first sergeants that are females. And so I think that as time has went on, with more women being in the military, they have risen up to the ranks and taken roles of leadership and really supported other female military members. So I think that that's a good thing. I can definitively say that the struggles and the suffering that I have endured has made me strong. So my goal in life is just to give people hope.
Immigrants leave behind everything they've known, their families, histories, and their homes for something greater. Many of them find their way to this area and strengthen the communities they live in. Dr. Marcia Santiago Scarpin and George Scarpin share their immigration story of why they left their home country of Brazil and how they found a new home in Moorhead, Minnesota.
So my name is Marcia Scarpin and I'm from Brazil. So I grew up in a very small city in Brazil called Arapongas. Arapongas is a city in Paraná state in Brazil. My whole life I have been studying public schools. I was applied for PhD in São Paulo at Fundação Getúlio Vargas. And Fundação Getúlio Vargas is the best school, business school in America Latina, in Latin America. In my third year, I have opportunity to come to the United States for the first time in my life for a conference. And after that, I have opportunity to be here for 7 months in my PhD because my program had a partnership with Indiana University. So I live in Indiana University for 6 months, stay 2 months more to travel in some states here in the United States and come back to Brazil. And when I have this opportunity to live here in the United States, I have this opportunity to see how life is easy here in the United States when you compare it to Brazil. You have everything easy for food, for car, for a gas station, and less bureaucracy than Brazil. So when I come back to Brazil, I was married at that time, and I told George and say, George, I want to live in the United States. George was very surprised, and he told, okay, Marcia, how?
I'm George Scarpin. I was a faculty member and accounting faculty in my home country, Brazil, for some time. So my college there, it was a public one, and they were facing some budget cuts and so on. And then, okay, let's try. And we had kind of specific area that we want to go, and it was around Midwest. And then Concordia invited me to come. Campus visit was in November of 2016, and we arrived here in August 2017. And then some years later, my wife started teaching here as well at Concordia in 2023. So it's her second year now. My first winter here was a huge challenge to deal with not only the snow, but how to buy proper apparel for the cold. So, okay, there are tons of jackets. And for me that a winter is around 40 degrees, all of them were the same. And then they explain me, no, this is a light jacket, this is a heavy jacket. So I purchased a lot of wrong jackets.
I like snow. Like, I never see snow before to live here, and I like it. Everything white, it's beautiful. But when you have wind and snow in your face, this is hurt you. Because when the snow start, like, depend October or November, you expected a new season. So the winter, and you have Christmas and holidays and so on. However, when you go to the final February or March, April, May, and you still have snow and you still have ice in your gardens, oh my goodness. But even so, I do appreciate the sky and the sun, because we have beautiful days here. I think I was very proud for myself, have this courage to move to Brazil, to the United States. Also, I'm very proud to offer for my daughter possibilities. She will have possibilities. She can do whatever she wants. And I'm very proud about that. And it's very interesting because Gab, my daughter, she born here, and it's truly Minnesota. Like, truly. She loves cold, she loves snow, she loves skating. But every year we go to Brazil because I want to make sure Gab knows she has a Brazilian family. In our home, we just speak in Portuguese with her. Just in Portuguese. And I think this is important for her. This is important for her to know her heritage. So when you ask her, Gabby, you are American or you are Brazilian? And she always answer us, I am American Brazilian, And I think this is important for her. And for me today, this is my home, And this is so important, have home. So if you have any people to think about to move to United States or move to this area, I think this area is very, very good place to start.
One thing that I can tell is that sometimes locals, they see immigrants as a bunch of similar people. We are very different from one another, just like a local people, they are very different from one another, especially on their background of coming here. A lot of people, they come here because they don't have anywhere to go, or that is my last chance. The worst thing for them is that they have nowhere to come back if they need to. And then there are other immigrants like me. I came here planned to come here. If I need to go back to my home country for family reasons or for anything, I can go back there. I will have a life there. So that is, we are very diverse on who we are and especially what do we want here.
Poetry Out Loud is a high school program that encourages students to learn about poetry while they master public speaking skills and build self-confidence. Leah Hochhalter from Valley City High School is the 2025 North Dakota Poetry Out Loud state champion. Listen as she recites the poems 1969 by Alex Dimitrov and The Arrow and the Song by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow.
The summer everyone left for the moon, even those yet to be born. And the dead who can't vacation here, but met us all there, by the veil between worlds. Poetry Out Loud is a poetry competition where people memorize and then recite and interpret poetry from many different poets. So we scour the source of Poetry Out Loud for poems that speak to us and then memorize them and then recite them in front of an audience and in front of judges. The first poem I recited was 1969 by Alex Dimitrov. I liked how it talked about this grand time where everybody was loving each other and we were going to the moon, and this crazy time for America where we didn't know where the future was heading, and so it was this sense of love everywhere you went. But then at the same time, there's a war going on. And so I loved how the poem talked about us humans are like living life and we're looking to the future, but also to the past, but we're never really living in the present. And so I loved how that poem kind of called us out on that and was like, there's so much future ahead, but whoever lives in the present. So I liked how it called action to living in the present and reminding yourself that we aren't immortal, and so take life for what you have and just remember to live it to the fullest. 1969 by Alex Dimitrov. The summer everyone left for the moon, even those yet to be born. And the dead who can't vacation here, but met us all there, by the veil between worlds. The #1 song in America was In the Year 2525. Because who has ever lived in the present when there's so much of the future to continue without us? How the best lover won't need to forgive you, and surely take everything off your hands without having to ask, without knowing your name, no matter the number of times you married or didn't, your favorite midnight movie, the cigarettes you couldn't give up, wanting to kiss other people you shouldn't, and now to forever be kissed by the earth, in the earth, with the earth. When we all briefly left it, to look back on each other from above, shocked by how bright even our pain is, running wildly beside us like an underground river. And whatever language is good for, a sign, a message left up there that reads, "Here men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon, July 1969 AD. We came in peace for all mankind." Then returned to continue the war. I did The Arrow and the Song by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. It had a deeper meaning than just what was on the surface, and I liked how I was able to kind of show two sides of me, because the first stanza of the poem is almost like a lament and like regretful, like you're throwing out this shot into the world, you don't know where it lands, you don't really care. And then the second stanza is talking more compassionately. You're throwing this compassionate song into the world, and you don't know where it lands, but who knows? And then the third stanza talks about how afterwards, these chances that you took and you threw seeing where they ended up and landed, and how the arrow, which kind of signifies harsh and maybe negativity and words that just don't land right, how the arrow was unbroken, but it landed in an oak, so the oak was damaged, but the song was still intact fully, but it was found in the heart of a friend. So I just liked how that one was kind of like, aww. The Arrow and the Song by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. I shot an arrow into the air. It fell to earth I knew not where. For so swiftly it flew, the sight could not follow it in its flight. I breathed a song into the air. It fell to earth I knew not where. For who has sight so keen and strong that it can follow the flight of song? Long, long afterward, in an oak, I found the arrow, still unbroke, and the song, from beginning to end, I found again in the heart of a friend.
With a flair for the dramatic, the hero and the villain from St. Cloud, Minnesota will entertain as well as mystify. Their focus is on mixing rock, country, and folk, and their passion for telling musical stories makes them a unique part of the Minnesota music scene.
Lives by himself in a desert land, not quite beast, not quite man. His lust for blood you never fully understand. He plays all day in a musty cave. What goes in will never escape. Just a pair of blood red eyes and you know it's too late. But before he gets a taste, looks upon out the silk string of his rusty washed up bass. Oh yeah, alright. The way he moves in the twilight hours, searching for something he can devour. Just the sound of his beating heart going louder and louder. In the throats of a careless few who are out in the desert with nothing to do. A set of razor sharp claws and your life is through. But before he gets a taste, he plucks upon out the silk string of his rusty washed up bass. Sick and tired of the same old scene. Gonna grab his bass, he's gonna head out east to the promised land of the South, the town of New Orleans. find a gig in a bluegrass band for the mythical creatures, half beast, half man. Never again will the blood of a kill stain his sands. But before he gets a taste, he plucks a worn out blood-soaked string of his rusty, washed-up bass. Oh yeah, alright.
If you know of an artist, a topic, or an organization in our region that you think would make for an interesting segment, please contact us at prairiemosaic@prairiepublic.org.
You can watch this and other episodes of Prairie Mosaic on Prairie Public's YouTube channel and follow Prairie Public on social media as well. I'm Matt O'Lean.
And I'm Barb Gravel. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Prairie Mosaic. Prairie Mosaic is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008, the North Dakota Council on the Arts, and by the members of Prairie Public.